Did you know that the deadliest shootout in Texas wasn't in some dusty saloon or outlaw camp, but right in the middle of a courthouse square? And it involved a legendary outlaw who still haunts Texas tales today? Texas isn't just the land of longhorns and barbecue. It's the land where outlaws walked the same dusty roads that we drive on now, where legends were forged in gunfire and grit, and the echoes of those wild days can still be felt on a hot July night. Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to the Lone Star Plate, where we serve up the wildest, most flavorful slices of Texas history. If you love stories that rattle like spurs and keep you on the edge of your seat, today's video is for you. We're diving deep into the true stories of Texas's most legendary outlaws, the real folks whose names sent chills down sheriff's spines and became the stuff of campfire whispers. Stay tuned, because the truth behind these legends is wilder than Hollywood could ever dream. All right, let's saddle up and hit the trail, because the characters you're about to meet didn't just bend the law. They broke it, set it on fire, and left their mark all across the Lone Star State. First up, we got Sam Bass, the Robin Hood of Texas, or so the story goes. Born in Indiana, Bass rambled into Texas after striking out as a gold miner, but he had a knack for gambling and a taste for adventure. He and his gang pulled off the largest train robbery in U.S. history at the time in 1877, snatching $60,000 from a Union Pacific train near Big Springs. That's about $1.5 million today. Bass was smooth, charming, and the kind of outlaw who supposedly shared his loot with the common folks, though historians aren't so sure about that generous part. What we do know is the Bass Gang set off a massive manhunt. Lawmen chased him across Texas for months until in July 1878, Texas Ranger George Harold caught Bass in Round Rock. Bass died from his wounds, and legend says his last words were, "Let me go, boys, it's the best way." Ironically, he died on his 27th birthday, proving the old saying true, live fast, die young. Now, if you thought Sam Bass was wild, wait until you hear about Belle Starr, the bandit queen. Born Myra Maybelle Shirley, she was sharp as a Bowie knife. Belle ran with the infamous James Younger gang and the Dalton brothers. She wore 2 pistols, rode side saddle, and drank whiskey with the best of them. Belle was accused of organizing robberies and rustling cattle all around North Texas and the Indian Territory. But lawmen never kept her behind bars for long. Her charisma, quick wit, and flair for drama made her as famous as any outlaw in the West. She met her end in 1889, ambushed and shot off her horse on a lonely trail. To this day, mystery shrouds her killer. Belle Starr's grave in Eufaula, Oklahoma, still draws visitors, folks hoping to catch a bit of her rebellious spirit. You can't talk Texas outlaws without tipping your hat to Clyde Barrow, of Bonnie and Clyde. Though their crime spree took them across several states, Texas was their home ground. Clyde grew up in West Dallas, dirt poor, and learned young that the deck was stacked against him. During the Great Depression, he and Bonnie Parker became folk anti-heroes for those scraping by. Their crimes were brutal. Banks, armories, and police stations robbed, lawmen murdered. The couple taunted authorities, sending playful photos and rhyming letters to the press. But in 1934, a posse led by former Texas Ranger Frank Hamer tracked them to a rural Louisiana road. In a barrage of bullets, Bonnie and Clyde's reign ended. Their blood-stained death car became a sideshow attraction, and their legend keeps growing. Let's not forget John Wesley Hardin. maybe the most feared gunman in Texas history. Born just after the Civil War, Hardin claimed to have killed 42 men before he turned 25. Some say out of necessity, others for vengeance. His life reads like a Wild West novel, dodging Texas Rangers, busting out of jail, and even studying law in prison. The deadliest shootout of his career, the Sutton-Taylor feud, an all-out war that stained South Texas red. Hardin's luck ran out in 1895 in an El Paso saloon, where he was shot in the back of the head by an off-duty lawman looking to collect a bounty. Folks still debate whether Hardin was a cold-blooded murderer or just a product of bloody, lawless times. Now, who here remembers the mysterious king of the bandits, Gregorio Cortez? In 1901, this ranch hand of Mexican descent got caught in the crossfire of misunderstanding and prejudice. After a sheriff fatally shot his brother, Cortez killed the sheriff in self-defense and fled. What happened next became the stuff of folklore. Cortez outran posses for nearly 2 weeks, riding over 100 miles from Carnes to Hidalgo County. Texas Rangers, sheriffs, and armed civilians, hundreds of them, couldn't catch him until he finally surrendered. Ballads about his courage were passed down for generations, especially in the Tejano community, forever cementing him as an unlikely outlaw hero. But Texas doesn't just have big-name outlaws. The state spawned colorful, lesser-known desperados whose stories are equally wild. There was Cullen Baker, the swamp fox of the Sulphur, a Civil War veteran who didn't take kindly to Reconstruction, or Bill Longley, the Texas gunslinger, who reportedly killed more men than Billy the Kid and met his end on the gallows in Giddings, Texas. Everyone remembers names like Jesse James and Billy the Kid, but it was these lesser-known characters who stirred up as much trouble from the piney woods to the borderlands. And let's not ignore the lawless legends written in blood during the infamous San Elizario Salt War, or the Perry Bandit Gang, who famously robbed banks using dynamite and determination. Each time, small towns trembled and legends seemed to grow taller with every retelling. But behind every legend was a very real person making desperate choices in desperate times. So what makes Texas Outlaws so legendary? Maybe it's the wide open spaces to disappear into, the boldness needed just to survive, or the fact that Texans have always admired a rebellious streak, dangerous as it may be. When you stand in a sleepy Texas town or see a sunrise over the brush, you can't help but wonder, whose horses ran here? What stories are still buried just beneath your boots? Now, before we wrap up, I gotta hear from y'all. Which of these Texas outlaws do you think was the most legendary and why? Or maybe you've got an outlaw story in your own family lore. Drop it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this wild ride through Texas history, give us a like, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss a single episode of the Lone Star Plate. Your support lets us keep sharing these slice of history stories straight from the heart of Texas. Whether you admire them, fear them, or just love a good yarn, Texas outlaws left their mark on our state in blood, ballad, and legend. So next time you're out on a long stretch of Texas highway, remember, you're never far from where legends once rode. This is the Lone Star Plate, signing off. Stay wild, stay Texan, and keep those stories alive. See y'all next time.